Could you tell us about the Metis sash?
For sure. So this one here, there's a picture too. Oh, hang on, I've got another one. So this is like the most common sash pattern that we see today. It's kind of just the one that's the generic one that's just kind of out there everywhere. And then, well, I'll go back. So does anybody know what the #1 cause of death for a voyageur was? Any guesses? Freezing? Well, that's a good guess. You don't know? What do you think? Any guesses? Yeah? Starvation? Oh, that's a good one too. The one everybody always guesses is drowning, right? Everybody says, oh, they probably fell out of the boat. The #1 cause of death, and this nobody ever gets it, was infected hernias, because they would lift these 300-pound packs of furs, and then they would get a hernia, right, in their side, right? And then, of course, they were out in the middle of nowhere, and they didn't have a doctor, and they didn't have access to the kind of things that, today a hernia is like a 10-minute operation, right? But so they, over time, you ever see like those Olympic weightlifters, and they have like that weight belt, right? So this is a Metis weight belt, essentially, right? And so they would wrap that around 2 or 3 times as tight as possible, right? And then you could lift those packs, and you wouldn't risk basically tearing the lining in your stomach, right? And so because they were wearing them anyway, right? Over time, the women in the community said like they developed patterns, and so over time you would be able to tell where somebody was from based on the pattern and based on the colors. And so this pattern here is known as the Coventry pattern. So the Hudson's Bay Company had those produced in Coventry, England, and they would ship them over, and then they would use them as like trade goods, right? So they would trade with Métis communities. And so that's where that pattern came from. And then this pattern here, there's a guy named Miguel, whose last name I can't remember, but he's from Manitoba, and he has done probably the most extensive research on sashes. And this is the pattern that his research shows was very prevalent here in the Great Lakes area. It's also coincidentally the strongest one, which I don't think is a coincidence. I think that if you're going to survive around Lake Superior in January, I think there's a reason why we've got the strongest sash, just saying. So, but there's, I could have brought my whole collection, but it's basically like a duffel bag full of sashes, and so I didn't think that was very good use of our time today. But today there are so many patterns, so many different variations, different color patterns. The Métis Nation of British Columbia had a special one produced just for when they were co-hosting the Olympics with the First Nations in BC. So it's you'll see shirts with them made. It's just they're kind of everywhere now, right?